All right, so what are the moves in the downswing that are gonna allow me to hit it really consistent? Well, a big one is this motion with the right wrist. If we do this motion, that's really good. It's called wrist extension. If we do this one, we're dead in the water. I'm gonna talk about exactly why that plays such a big role, plus 2 other tips that are really gonna help you in your downswing to hit some really solid shots, tons of lag, tons of club head speed. Let's go and get started. All right, so let's jump right into it. In this right wrist action, if you imagine I'm grabbing my club and I'm doing that right wrist action, all that's doing is rotating the club around the shaft, right? But that's a big deal in either creating or losing lag. So as I go to the top of the swing, what I see players wanting to do is from the top, we know we only have so much time to create speed in the downswing, so most players want to fire on it right away, start getting this right wrist to push. And as you cast, everybody knows about this casting motion. Everybody knows about kind of throwing that fishing rod, but the part that a lot of times is missed is this type of motion, this flexion extension. So whenever we cast this club, a lot of times that wrist is going to go into flexion, or those knuckles are going to release too early. What I feel like in my swing, and what I want you to feel like too, is as you start your downswing, your right wrist knuckles go back towards your elbow. That's going to take that club and drop it more shallow behind you. That's going to get that club face a little bit more closed so it's squared up early. And that's also going to resist that urge to hit with the right hand from the top. So as you start your downswing, feel like those knuckles come back, and that's going to put you in a great position. So I'm going on my backswing, I start to feel that about here, and then as I start down into what I call the max lag position, look how my knuckles are back, my elbow's in. I'm in this really powerful spot here to where now all I got to do is rotate through, and I'm gonna hit a great shot. So that's the very first piece there. Feel like those knuckles get tighter to you rather than pushing it out away from the top. We all know about the cast, but a lot of times we forget about the knuckles back, and that will make all the difference in the world. Let's go ahead and try that one out here, and notice how it looks like my knuckles are saved up until later in the downswing. Then I can go ahead and get them to release. There we go, nice and solid right to the middle of the green. Now, the second piece here is directly related to that. The knuckles also help with this steep motion. So whenever I start down, if I feel like I'm very right side, right hand pushing on top, my elbow comes up and throws the club this way, that's gonna get me steep. Now, let me actually talk about something that's a little counterintuitive. If I pull the club straight down, that's gonna kick the shaft steeper. If I pull the club a little out, that's going to shallow the club out there. So you can imagine as I start my downswing, the worst thing I want to have happen is I don't want to yank this club straight down. I don't want my arms pulling straight down into my body like this. I want to feel like my hands go out, and that actually allows the club to shallow, and as I rotate my body, that's going to bring my hands this way. It's going to allow the club to stay behind me, and as I keep on rotating through, I can now release through it. I don't want to feel like I'm yanking my hands down. So if you're too steep, you actually want to feel like you pair up that right wrist move with more out and letting the body start to rotate open this way. I don't want to feel like I yank my hands straight down, or that's going to kick the shaft in that direction. So as we're coming through contact, we can't have this face wide open. So if we're coming down steep, we don't really have to do much to square the face. The face is really, really shut, it's closed. Actually, we're going to be trying to open the face. That's why a lot of players that get steep tend to block it. Now, if I shallow this club out, all of a sudden, if I have this face wide open like this, I'm coming from the inside, I have tons of lag. If I move just like the pros are moving, you're going to see that face is way out to the right. That face is wide open. I'm going to hit shots way that way. So we need to make sure that we square this face down. So what I want you to feel like is as you're coming through contact, you really have this face shut or closed, just like the pros are doing. Now when you rotate open, look how much forward shaft lane you can get and still keep that face square. Now I have an awesome drill for this called the tennis racket drill. And it helps you to get just an intuitive sense of how to square that face up to make sure that if you do get the great lag, you do get it shallowed out, you're not going to hit it a mile to the right, you're actually going to hit it really well compressed and straight. That's what all the pros are doing. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to play a preview here in a second. All you need to do to get access to this video, see it right away, is go ahead and click the card that pops up on your screen. And don't worry if you don't see those cards, go ahead and click the link in the description. You'll get instant access to it there. I can't wait to share with you the tennis racket drill and kind of get that final piece. Now that you got the lag, you got it coming from the inside, let's put this final touch on it that's really going to help you to compress it. Good player problems. We're going to talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is, instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it, the flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time,